Right everybody, welcome to my latest YouTube video. This one's about float fishing. But before we go out and bank and catch some fish, I just thought I'd run through what I generally do on a typical week leading up to a fishing session. It's not talked about in a lot of videos, but just people go out and catching fish. So what I want to do is try and explain on this one why we go to certain rivers and why we don't. So for me, an ideal situation for dead baiting, especially in winter time, is warmer water. So you want warmer temperatures, so anything above 5-6 degrees is perfect. If it drops really cold, it's going to make it hard work. There's no lying about that. It's going to make it harder, but there's still places you can catch pike. So what I generally look for, I'll give this weekend as an example. It was a really hard fishing weekend. I really struggled. I also had an otter in swim, which doesn't help. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a map of the river and what happened on that day. So hopefully you can see this. Right, this is from an environment agency, and this is all river levels. I use this on a regular basis. So as you can see, back end of last week, probably Thursday, Friday last week, we had a load of rain. It came in all those rivers in a minute or two here, and this orange line here is the flooding. So that was literally half a metre from flooding, so that's not an ideal situation, especially last weekend. And then the good thing is, especially over last Thursday, Friday, but the good thing is, I noticed it were dropping really quickly. So what it did over Thursday, Friday, it started to drop down. So I was fishing on Saturday morning. So Saturday morning it had dropped 1.5 metres and it were almost down to normal levels. The only thing is I knew it would carry me a little bit of colour. That don't usually bother me. But the good thing is what it does, it means there's not going to be lots and lots of flow, so I'm going to be able to find some decent water. You want it where it's enough water to give you a good slack, but not too much water that it makes it impossible to fish. Because if you can't find slacks, you're wasting your time. You need to find them slacks. It's really important. So this is a thing I use on a regular basis. Every single weekend I'll keep an eye on river levels, see what they're doing. Not only that, but this is a spate river, so I'll look at the rivers that are attached to it as well and make sure they're not going to be affected. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to work at your pike fishing. You can't just go out and do it. You can't just go and turn up to a venue and expect to catch. I'm a Saturday or a Sunday fisherman, so that basically means I've got to make the best of it on a Saturday or a Sunday. So it's the decision I make is either the right one or the wrong one. If I don't catch any fish, I made the wrong one. If I've caught some fish, I've made the right decision. So what I try to do is to put it in my favour. So what I'll do, I'll wait for those perfect conditions, and you want it where it's got a tinge of colour. Me personally, I hate coloured water where you can't see even your bait. What I like to do, I like to see a little tinge of colour, so it's just started to run off the actual sediments, all started to run out of water. The thing is, pike really struggle to feed when there's sediment in water, so when it's all black and coloured and crap and orange and purple and brown, those are not ideal times to catch. Not that the pike don't feed, it's just they don't particularly like to feed when there's a lot of sediment in water, when they've got mucky water. They'll prefer it when it just starts thinning off, and the bonus of that is as well, they're camouflage, so they're still camouflaged in murky water, so they can sneak up on prey fish and take prey fish. Crystal clear water is no good, and extremely coloured water is no good. They can still sense bait fish, that's not a problem. But the ideal conditions, especially for feeding, especially with baits, for me personally, is when you've got a tinge of colour in water. So the other thing I use is Google. I'll just find this for you. So what I use Google Maps quite a lot, and basically that's to do with whereabouts I actually fish and how I fish. So we'll go on to maps. I'll show you a typical section. This is a section of my local river, River Calder, which is not spectacular. It's not too bad upstream, but I haven't done particularly well where I am here. Hopefully you can see this. So basically, this is a flow. This is a river flowing down here. So it comes in a long straight, and then it goes in a really tight U-bend, and comes around and goes on this inside edge, and it goes around this corner and goes up to there. So what that would tell me, if I were bank fishing that, and this was the first time I fished it, what I would notice is that whenever you've got water, whenever you've got extra water especially, all these videos I've made, all these little videos I made coming up, have all been made when river's been out of condition. What I class out of condition, probably about 3 or 4 days before it's in good condition. But like I said, I fish on a Saturday, so that's what it is. So if I were doing that, especially on these days, what I'd do, I'd concentrate on these two bends. If I were fishing on this side of the river, I would concentrate on that bend and that bend there. Now what I'm going to do is that the way to think about water is it's like a Formula 1 racing track. So long straights are extremely fast, so the water accelerates through these stretches, through really fast water. It goes straight along in a perfect straight. As soon as you get to a bend, what it starts to do, it starts to back up. So what it does, it starts to fill up here on this inside edge and pushes water across the stream. So what it does, it actually gives you a slack. All this inside edge is a slack, perfect for catching pike. Perfect places to catch pike. Pike-like structure and deviations of waterbeds. Perfect place is a really tight bend. One of my favourite points to fish, especially when it's got a little bit of water in it. So that bend there, as soon as that water comes up here and it pushes onto that outside edge, it's going to leave a slack all the way up there. And those are the perfect times to get it. That first little bit of slack after the fast water. And then what I'll do, I'll go around this edge, work maybe an odd swim here and there, and then I get on this edge here, because this is going to be the next decent edge where water again is accelerated, it's picked up pace, it's coming around this bend here, and it's pushing downstream now. So again, you've got a lovely slack just on the inside of edge of here. I've never fished this, but I'm only assuming. Like I said, this is what I would attempt to fish it anyway. And then you've got another little bit of a straight there, so you're going to get a little bit of faster water. And then it's now pushing, if we're on this side again, it's pushing around this inside edge, around this outside, this bend. What I want to do here is go on this section here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cast at far bank. So I'm going to get my rods over that bank, because again, there's a bend here and the water's going to accelerate around this corner, and it's going to need a slack on the inside of here. It's not going to leave a massive one, maybe about 10-15 foot, but it could be enough to hold a lot of pike. Again, you're coming around, we're fishing, don't forget we're fishing on this side. So we're coming around this bend, we've got another little bit of a bend here, you can fish all that. And then you come up to here, and again, you've got the same thing, you've got a big bend. So you can see water accelerate, it'll be going fast around this corner, and it'll push into this edge. So again, it's going to leave a slack on this edge here. So what I'm going to do from this side, I'm going to cast my rods across, keep my rods up in air, out of the water, keep the line out of the water, and fish that way. That's how I attack most of my rivers when I'm bait fishing. Like I say, I've fished a new stretch of water I've never fished before when I made this video, so I've quite enjoyed it. Anyway, enough of me calling on and going on. I hope you're enjoying your fishing at this moment in time. It's been an hard season for me personally. Hopefully it's going to pick up in the next couple of weeks. I hope that you enjoy this video and there's some good information on it and a couple of decent fish. So what I'm doing, I'm on a river today, on a Yorkshire river, and it's semi in flood. It's been up 6 foot in week. It's dropped down again. We had a load of rain last night, so I'm expecting it to come back up again today. So what I thought I'd do, I'll come and have a go. Now, when you're fishing these rivers and you've got a bit of water in, it's quite important you get your tackle right and make sure you've got everything perfect. And the best way to do that is to use oversized floats. I use polystyrene floats. I'll get my rig out later and I'll run you through that. But I use large polystyrene floats, like that sort of size, not the ones you get in normal tackle shops. I get some really big ones. Again, I've got running lead with 4 ounce lead, so that means I don't get no dropbacks, as you know, you've seen that from video. So every single take I get will be a take. It won't be messing about. Literally, as soon as someone picks that bait up, that float will sit up, bob around a couple of times and go under. Now, these are really big floats, so they don't generally get dragged under. It takes about 8 ounce to drag these under. So what I tend to do, as soon as I start getting the take, I'm quite confident that where my hooks are in my bait, that as soon as I wound down and hit it, the fish will be on it and there will be no more problems. So what I'll do, I'll just run you through the bits and bats I've got. So I'll get my rig and show you how I set up for this sort of fishing. Right, so I'm just going to run you through my rig. Again, I've got my 3.5 pound test curve rods, 10 foot 6, 3.5 pound, so the proper brutes and Cotswold rods. And then I've got a huge oversized float. And I mean, when I say oversized, that's huge. That's absolutely massive. That's not a standard sort of thing. It took me ages to find these, but I got them at PAC a couple of years ago. They're perfect. Again, exactly the same rig as last time. So I've got a 4 ounce lead, large bore run rig, and I've got a big old lump of mackerel. These are ones I caught in Whitby last year on holiday, so they're coming in use eventually. What I'm going to do, I'm going to drop these out here. Now, setting your depths and stuff like that's really important when you're fishing on rivers. You need to get it absolutely perfect, especially in flood conditions. I like to be just about 2 foot over depth, and there's a reason for that. I prefer a flat float. Not a lot of people say that. Other people say you're not supposed to use a flat float, but I personally prefer a flat float. The reason for that is that the flow will pull your float around so it's facing perfectly. If there's any change to that, if that float starts moving any different way, that's an indication you've got to take. With 4 ounce lead, what generally happens, you get a large circle. You get boom, you get a circle straight on the surface. and then your float starts to move slowly, starts to push forward, and then as the pike picks the bait up, your float will lift up, start bobbing round. These are huge floats, these are big floats, so they don't generally get pulled under unless it's something monstrous and it's pulled into extremely deep water, but that's enough. The way those hooks are set on that bait, they're perfect. About a fist apart like I usually do, no more than halfway down bait. That should be perfect for indication. What I'll do, I'll set this rod up in margins. I've got one already over in far margin, on the far side, but I do like to keep one on either side depending on flow. I'm on an outside bend here, which is great, but usually that means the pike in a bit of flow will move on to the inside edge. So I'm going to drop one down here at margins in this slack, and we'll see how we get on. What I'm going to do is going to drop it in here and see how it reacts. When I say that, I want to just see how the float sets itself once it's in the water. I don't want to put it too far out, I'm just going to drop it fairly close in. Right, see how there's so much movement around there? I can actually let that off a little bit more, bring that float up a little bit more. A bit of flow down there. I'm just going to bring that float stop a little bit further up. Now I know it's all perfect down there, there's no snags or anything like that, it's a nice smooth bottom. So I'm alright to leave bait on. Usually if I'm going to float up, if I'm checking my floats, I'll trace off. Bang. There you go, so it's wanting to flow downstream a little bit. What I'm going to do now, I tighten this up onto here and put it flat. There you go, that float's now sat flat. Again, I like to have my rods aiming directly at my float, straight down the rod, straight down to the float, so I can keep an eye on it. If there's any undulation, it's moving around a little bit, it can give you early indications that something's happening. But again, my float's perfect, it's going straight away from me. If that lifts up or moves the other side, then I'll know there's fish down there, ready for a take. So I've got to run over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lift the rod up. I'm not going to mess about. See the float moving there. I'm not going to mess about. Just going to keep an eye on it. See what it's doing. Keep float messing about there. There you go, it's moving off with bait. So what you're going to do, don't panic. What you're going to do, make sure you set your clutch straight away. Dead important. What last thing you want to do is to wind down the fish and lose it because of that. What I'm going to do now is tighten up and lift into it. Now, lights, loosen your clutch off. And keep as much pressure as you can. Let's put some pressure on this fish now because it's a little bit close to my floats, which I don't like. Not a big fish. It's in the net. Oh, nearly want in the net. Woo-hoo. That's got some spirit about it, yeah. Here we go, first fish of the day. Nice fish as well. There you go. It's not a bad one, is it? That's not a bad fish. We'll take that one all day long. 15.5. Nice fish. Can't complain at that one. Again, and I found this coming up to a bend here. You can see water's coming across me here, getting pushed off by this tree, so there should be a decent slack in here, so I'm going to try and drop it off here. We'll have a look at depth, see what it's like. Got that foot set at about 10 foot a moment, see how it settles. See my float sat up as soon as it's bottom. That's dead depth. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring that in. Going to give it another foot. Like I say, I prefer my floats lying flat. Give it another foot. And as you'll see now, float will bob like that. Lines run down to stop not to the weight. We'll leave that like that. Perfect. That's perfect. We're going to do the same with the other one. Other one's down here. Again, what I'll do is I'll set up right in between these two. It's going to be a bit naughty with bank is that one because it's quite tall. Hello. It's quite a tall banking, but my net just checks. I've just checked with my net and put it as maximum extension, and it just hits the water. So if I do get something, should be able to land it okay. It's quite important that a lot of people just set up and think, well, that's a nice looking spot. No point if you can't get to fish. Can't pull them up bank. We'll get a new bait for this one, I think. Just do another big old mackerel. Whitby special. Although it's so far, it's all it runs have had is on sardines. Again, I've dropped them in there, in and out of tail. Tough as all boots out, look at that, you could cast it out with that. In, out with that as well. See what this is like. What's depth? I've got a lot of depth in this one. No, it's not going to be that deep, I don't think. Still looks a bit flowy, so I'm going to have to keep it tight, I think. I'm going to drop it right on the edge. It's okay. There's still a little bit of flow there, I'm not 100% sure about that one. Not 100% sure about it, I'm still a little bit in flow. What I might have to do is get around this corner a little bit when let this water push across the far side of the swim and bring two in here, but the plan is to fish this swim next. All set up. What I'll do, again, I'll stand between both rods so I can keep an eye on floats as well as listen for bite indication off at Delkins. Delkins are fantastic, I mean, I'll sniffs on these and that gives you an indication. So it's just sitting up that float. tells me there's still a little bit too much flow down there. But anything pulling off that run rig will give me a positive indication. We'll give it a go. It's a big old mackerel tail, this. Tough as old boots. So I'm going to let this one develop a little bit. Just hope I can land it from here. One more bob and you're gone. Get in that net. Oh, bollocks. Flipping heck. I don't need this in my life. Whew. God, that were a battle, wasn't it? So where's that? So we're at this quite quick. Don't worry, we'll find a way. Down here, Tom. Will do.
She's gone. Pike is Pike.